Hello. I thought I would do a live video because it is very quiet. I am doing it in my car because it is very cold indoors right now. But if I cut the air off, then I get sick. So, I can't do that. I can't cut the air off. I have to be able to enter the cold house at any time. That also means that I can't just sit in it, or sitting in it is really uncomfortable. So, I'm chilling in my nasty car. Kind of wish I could wash it right now, but that is also not on the menu. Ooh, I thought I saw something behind me. Spooky. This car is not haunted. I think I've had like 2 cars that were haunted. It's kind of weird actually having a car that's not haunted, but I guess it's the design. It's not a very squishy seated car. Everything's very aligned within the car, so it does not give way to those types of visuals. That is a thing. It also has because it has a 3rd row seat in it, and they're up all the time rather than like putting them down. I guess you can see that back seat there is the very back one that's up against the back window. It makes the rear view window kind of small. SUVs tend to have kind of smaller windows on the back, and also, they're further away. So, cars don't have as much space in it as SUVs and trucks. The window is right up against the back of your head, so that is an interesting situation for somebody who delivers food to people. I tend to snap my neck around a whole lot while I'm driving, just for fun, just to make sure, just to keep sure. So, kind of like a butterfly. I just saw one flying. It is not muggy outside yet. It has been pretty dry and chilly so far this spring. I think we're about in the middle of spring, and we didn't have a very wintry winter, so everything has been pretty dry and droughttish this spring. So we don't have a lot of mushrooms growing, not a lot of high fungus or anything like that. And that's also not good. That's not good for trees. Trees like wintry winters, and we did not have a wintry winter, and so that makes our trees prone to disease, actually. Yep. do not know exactly what the weather is going to be like next week, so I can't say what the summer is going to be like. So I haven't researched that. I think it's still kind of all on schedule though, so hopefully the trees won't get it too bad. Blight is an issue for trees. It's when the mold appears up there rather than on the ground. Anyways, I am doing what I can today. My female cycle is pretty normal for what I know to be true. And that is the schedule that I have, where I have been, and also what my family members went through before me with their female cycles. So mine is balanced back out after all the weird medication treatments that I've had. It's still pretty normal mood-wise. There is definitely a detach there. There isn't any kind of mood symptoms. In fact, literally from 3 months ago to this month, and this is my first watch on how I am with no medication, and the only thing that is messing with me is a lack of symptoms, I guess you could say, or the fact that I'm having a dot, like a flare up. You know, I think it's epilepsy is what it is, because it's like I get knocked in the head, and it's exactly as if what happened after my Grand Mal episode. So I'm guessing that I am having a very slight Grand Mal episode a week before my female cycle starts. Or restarts. So I have a Grand Mal seizure the first day that would be like a PMS day, and then throughout the and I'm not having a tonic-clonic seizure, but I'm having the symptoms as if I had one. So, which is soreness in the body, some paralysis. It's not all, like I said, it's not like when I was on the antidepressant. It's not in any way like a full real thing, but I'm getting the side effects as if I've had one. So like my body recognizes that that's what's going on, and that is what is happening. So I'm guessing it's I'm sleeping through it kind of situation instead of experiencing the Grand Mal episode. Kind of leaves me not knowing where I'm at, and it also means that by the census, exactly about 1 week before my female cycle restarts, I feel better, like leading up to starting my female cycle. It is welcomed. I literally woke up today. I've been out of work for 3 days, and I woke up today and was like, okay, I'm feeling better. Everything is still a little out of whack. Hadn't started, no female, symptoms or anything. And I'm still experiencing a good bit of brain fog. But we have a little bit of changing weather at the moment too. It's cold inside, it's warm outside, but not quite muggy. So, whew, it makes my thinking a little crossed. Which to other people, that makes it look makes me look daisy. So I figured out within the last hour, I'm like, okay, so I will be starting that tomorrow. So my cycle is like between 31 and 35 days long. I don't really have an opinion on that. Like, I don't, So all I know that what that means is literally every 30 days, I will have a grand mal episode. So, I am so thankful not to have the full tonic-clonic seizure. My entire body was hurting, but my hands, both of my hands, I think I was complaining about it yesterday or the day before, are still hurting really badly. The muscle changed, like the way I squeeze and stuff, and I've got a little bit of a shake. So that is not part of a functional neurological disorder. Obviously, that's not PBA, but that is not neurological functioning disorder. It's also leaves me like kind of mentally spun, so and really quiet. So that's also not autism. That would be epilepsy. So I do have a diagnosis of epilepsy, and it is a fight to the death. So at some point in time, those symptoms are going to have to stop. Lucky for me, as being a woman, my symptoms will stop. Like, we know that, like, science knows that, that, other people don't have to go through it, getting notifications quite so out in the public like I'd have to, or explained. It's not, there's not a book about it. So my body signs to me that with the diagnosis of epilepsy, that I am not diagnosed female. That is part of science, which that's good to know. Like, I know that if you flip it, but really what it is that or that womanhood is not a a diagnosis. It's not a disorder to be born with a uterus. The process of being a woman is not a disorder. And that is proven by the fact that I have a diagnosis of epilepsy that will end with either my death or the death of my female cycle. The thing is about apparently female cycles is they can reanimate. But that is something that the way our society and world is built and stuff is not going to happen. One level down from that is what I experience, and that would be the difference. That would be what I experience is very similar to what are they called? Not hermaphrodite. Is albinism. Albinoism are known albinist people who are born with a lack of melatonin. I think that's the right word. They have violet colored eyes, and violet is the last color on the spectrum of iris condition, or like iris colors, is so rare that it's not on a driver's license. To be, if you are albino and your eyes are violet, you can't put that on there. You put blue or something, blue or green or gray, whatever lighting you live in. You might, like if you lived in Washington State where there's a lot of trees and a lot of rain, you know, you might put one color, you might put gray instead of, you know, violet. So as opposed to living in Arizona, you know, you might put brown or hazel, you know, if your eyes were violet, or something blue, I don't know. So I have a situation where I have a guide for my female disorder. It's kind of weird, and it leaves people are like, oh, you're an overthinker, blah blah. I'm like, no, I'm literally explaining to you what it is, the process of what my body does. Like other people's bodies don't do that, you know. They're like, well, I have tonic-clonic seizures, and the majority of people, you know, people look at tonic-clonic seizures and grand mal seizures as the same thing, because a tonic-clonic seizure can happen in a grand mal episode. The thing is that the majority of the people who have tonic-clonic episodes do not have grand mal seizures, and a grand mal seizure is part of epilepsy. So, mine is not necessary because I have been doing my job since 1995 that I just completed a shift with. I was 10 years old when I started my job of shopping and stuff like that for other people, or getting other people stuff while they're doing in the middle of something else and they need something else and it's on schedule. I'll jump up, you know, and get whatever that is. Like this one lady I used to grocery shop for, she was on oxygen. And so it's much easier for her to, you know, have somebody grocery shop for her than dragging all that stuff around. And she was had other things she was doing too, so that made sense to her. It was worth it. And that works out. For children, you know, working and stuff, that's something they kind of need is, you know, like, if it's not real necessary for somebody to, like if I was doing, if the person, you know, didn't need stuff, like need the service but needed the stuff, and I took the delivery for them or whatever and did the work for them, you know, that isn't beneficial towards them. And so, being a child, so I was saved in that work of having the blessing of some of people around me that had a lot going on, to be able to jump in, and it all timed out pretty evenly. That was for the Charles Huff family. I stopped doing that about 99, thinking about 1999, 1998, 1999. Yeah, probably 1998 was about when that faded out. So, I have always done this type of work. Now that I have been doing this type of work for as long as I have, let's see, I am 40, so that means that I have been doing this type of work for 30 years. I have officially worked in many different types of markets, with different situations. Not in, I mean, the environments is an obvious thing, as, you know, whether it rains from, excuse me, from week to week is different. So that's good. I don't have like an eyeball for like work kind of stuff, you know. I'm not a shark trying to find that's what this means, is I'm not a shark in the market looking for better opportunities. I have, at 35 years doing the work I do, and how little, like, I've not met a whole lot of people that do the work I do. It is a very small market, so there's a lot of work to do. The problem with it has always been technology, payment access, good access, and timeliness goes under access. So I keep feeling like, oh, it's a little poofy. I was like, kept looking like I got like an earmuff or something, but it's just fuzziness. Yeah. So what I focus on now as a 35 year, or 35 into this business in 35 years, is looking at the map, like locations is really what it is. Home bases, looking at home bases. That changes really quickly, kind of like the schedule at BMW, to where they'll do like they put out schedules, I think about a month at a time. So about every 9 days, the energy level and the consumerism level is really what it is. What that bottoms into or feeds into is consumer level. You know, like right as it's time to like plant flowers, you know, food delivery goes down for a little bit. That's in between Super Bowl and Easter. Right around in there, people are purchasing a lot more goods rather than food, fast food. So right now, fast food is starting to pick back up because barbecue time is picking back up, and the people who are doing the barbecues need food. Or cooking people who are cooking, barbecuing, need food right at a specific time. Like I was explaining of originally, as I did as a child. So, to where when you're a kid, that would mean that as a child, I could only work for certain seasons. I couldn't do work, you know, a full schedule, and that's why. Because that mimics the actual schedule in real life. But there is a change between those, and so you have to be able to step back, look forward, look back, look left, and maneuver around financially, and to be able to have all that working, and also manage all your other stuff is a lot, just doing what I do. I'm not really good at it because I haven't had full use of my mental faculty, and also it's just me. So my house and my yard look like shit, and I'm really sad about it. I wish I had the money to get it fixed and looking nice, so I wouldn't constantly be in fear of my life, because I am constantly in fear of my life, because there's a big tree leaning over it, and you know, my grandparents don't register, did not register other people's fear or anything like that. It doesn't concern them. What concerns them is their marriage. There's nobody else. Like, once, you know, they raise their kids after 18, even though they own this property for up until a couple of years ago, it still is not their responsibility if anybody wanted to live here and be in fear of their life. So technically, you know, because they also did the poor job of raising me, I can't do anything about it, because I couldn't immediately, when they transferred the house over to me, because I didn't have the money, because they've been, you know, also harassing me for years and years and years. I did not have the money to immediately fix the property, meaning that I cannot press charges against them for it. Does that make it right? Not at all. In fact, it is really very, 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 very wrong. They will not have ownership of, they will be losing all of their property very soon. Meaning there's also no reason to press charges. But it does suck, because you know, if something happens, I do have to first check with them to see if we can get anything fixed, and then if not, then press charges. So because I was on like living as somebody they were taking care of, because I have so many disabilities. I can't go anywhere else. So it's like they are operating as a government agency. And if the government agency, if the government agencies like harm you, the only place that when people get harmed they go to are government agencies. There isn't anywhere else. And as a person who, first and foremost, didn't have anywhere to go and didn't come from anywhere else, like suicide, you know, like it is illegal. Doctors in the United States cannot kill you. If you know they put you down, that is murder, that is a chargeable offense. So they are you know, have always played on that line. Here is this situation right here. This tree is leaning. It literally starts down here and is lined up like this on the house, and it is actually not just folded over, it is actually leaning like right onto the house. They had it topped at one point, but did not cut it down, even though it is making it worse. Like that was actually establishing intent for some reason. I mean, they didn't, you know, he had obviously hasn't thought that through full enough, or is just doing it for show. I'm not really exactly sure, you know. There isn't anything proven by that except, you know, the sign that was put up on their property of welcome being the opposite. So, or, you know, labeling their own home across town as a portal into hell, where this house, is, you know, in my name, Chelsea Lee Connell. So, usually, people are trying to help other people, and stuff, but, they, are out of their minds following along with algorithms and stuff. So I am not a mathematician, so I don't know exactly how much of their life that's gonna take off of it, but for no reason, you know, that's a thing. That's none of my business, though. If, you know, somebody wants to, you know, remove themselves from their family, like in a magical sense. Someone did come and like bend the branch down to where it kind of touches the ground, to remove some of the craziness that is. It's a very antisocial situation. It is representative of someone being so completely full of themselves that they do not, what it is a sign of someone not recognizing medical symptoms and other people around them. Like, you can't trust them is what that is. It's a really rare condition, but it is something that people do know exists. So this isn't too weird of a thing in the South. The South is known for having people who are wacky, you know, are on all kind of different points in the medical book. And there are some points that are pretty, you know, out there. And one of them is schizophrenia. This is a direct sign of schizophrenia. This is, oops, sorry, I've got my hand over the counter, or camera, but I am gathering my things in order to go look at the tree, because I really do have to figure out some way to get it down, because it's not right. So, because we do live in the United States, and it is illegal to be naked in public. That includes leaving your trash on the ground when you live outside. So doing something like this to a family member in public for years and years at a time is illegal. It's pretty ridiculous. It is, like I said, very much a diagnosis of schizophrenia. That is what that is. Nobody else would do anything like that. I've never witnessed, seen, or heard of anybody else doing anything like that. Usually people keep a rabbit foot in their pocket or something like that, for luck, rather than, metaphorically molesting their granddaughter out in public. So, I went to school because school is mandatory in the United States. So it is well known to me and to everybody else that I have autism spectrum disorder. So there is absolutely no need for that. That is somebody talking to themselves. Also, schizophrenia is one of those things that it is not, if one person in the family has it, like autism spectrum disorder, nobody else has it. If somebody, those are the two disorders you can be born with, that if you're born with it, nobody else in the family has it. They might have symptoms or signs of schizophrenia, which is what ASD is. But I have autism spectrum disorder, and mine rooted out into neurological disorders, meaning I don't have schizophrenia. So, that is the thing. I am hoping that nothing happens with it, and I'm going to leave it at that. Today is Saturday. I don't remember what day it is. It's either the 16th, 17th, or 18th. I hope everybody has a good rest of the weekend.